Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Ārādhayo Bhagavan Vrijeshataniyas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Va Kalpita Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha. Jai Śrī Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Granth Srimad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, entitled Lord Krishna Shows the Universal Form. And we read till text number 45 yesterday. And we were discussing about Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, and how we were discussing with how the love for the of the Supreme Lord's mother. For a moment, she thought, who am I? What is my relationship? I'm not the mother, and all these thoughts were coming. But suddenly the covering of the Yogamaya potency was so strong. Then she again started to think that, oh, no, this is my little baby, and he needs my protection. So she considered Krishna as an ordinary child who needs love, care, and protection. Okay. So with that, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan, but maybe we'll talk about that a little later. More devotees are able to join, but for now we will move on to next verse, which is text number 46. Shri Rajo Vacha Nanda Kim Akarod Brahman Shreya Evam Mahodayam Yashoda Cha Mahabhaga Papau Yasya Stanam Hari. Translation and purport by Abhacharana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Having heard of the great fortune of Mother Yashoda, Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Shukadev Goswami, O learned Brahmana, Mother Yashoda's breast milk was sucked by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What past auspicious activities did she and Nanda Maharaj perform to achieve such perfection in ecstatic love? Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.16, Chaturvidha bhajanti mam jana sukritino arjuna. Without sukriti or pious activities, no one can come to the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is approached by 4 kinds of men: Arto, Jigyasur, Artharti, and Gyanicha. But here we see that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda surpassed all of them. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj naturally inquired what kind of pious activities did they perform in their past activities, in their past lives, by which they achieved such a stage of perfection. Of course, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda are accepted as the father and mother of Krishna. Yet Mother Yashoda was more fortunate than Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, because Nanda Maharaj was sometimes separated from Krishna, whereas Yashoda, Krishna's mother, was not separated from Krishna at any moment, from Krishna's babyhood to his childhood, and from his childhood to his youth. Mother Yashoda was always in association with Krishna. Even when Krishna was grown up, he would go to Vrindavan and sit on the lap of Mother Yashoda. Therefore, there is no comparison to the fortune of Mother Yashoda. And Parikshit Maharaj naturally inquired, Yashoda cha Mahabhaga. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Jai Śrī Prabhupada. Wow, such a beautiful verse. Sri Raja Uvacha. Raja here is Parikshit Maharaj inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. Nanda kim akarod Brahman. What did Nanda Maharaj do? Akarod Brahman, O learned Brahmana, referring to Shukadev Goswami, is asking this question in a genuine, inquisitive way. Shreya evam mahodayam. Shreyas means auspicious. It's like what auspicious activities, and Prabhupada is quoting that only those who have done certain auspicious activities are able to perform bhakti. Prabhupada quotes this, the 7.16 verse, and that 4 kinds of people take shelter of God. Anyone knows what are the 4 kinds of people who take shelter? Akshay knows. Yes, please tell.
The 4 types of is it kind of like the behavior spirituality? Like why? One of the types is they want money. Second, they are curious. Third, they I think it's third that they want to serve Krishna.
So money is good, or they want some material desires. Artha, yes. Someone said something. Jnani, yes. They are amongst the 4. The Jnanis are the topmost. Third.
Artha arthati jiggashu geni.
Yes, that's right. These down. It's important. So, Artha is a capital A there. Artha. What does that mean?
Sorry, bodily disease or suffering from disease.
Those who are suffering from problems, any kind of problems. Any examples coming to your mind in this regard? In the history, who surrendered to Krishna or who took to devotional service because of certain problems he had or she had? The example says Gajendra, right? Gajendra was troubled by the crocodile. He was in a big problem. His life was at risk. So he took shelter. And most people come in this category. They're suffering because of certain, loss of a dear one, or they lost their job, or they lost their home, or they lost their someone, something, or some bad health issues, some serious disease. All those will come in this category. Artha, arthi. Artharthi. What does that mean?
Needs money.
Material.
Material.
Yes. Looking for material desires. Wealth, name, fame, recognition, cars, bungalows, mansions, or any form of material wealth. Any examples coming to your mind? In who's this category?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj,
Yes.
but next he changed. Seeing
Dhruva
Krishna.
Maharaj, very classic example in this connection. And then Artha, Arthati, Jnani, Jigyasu, Jnani, and Jigyasu. So Jigyasu is the inquisitive. Inquisitive. Those who want to know. They may not have like spiritual questions. They may have even sometimes material question. Hey, what does this Hare Kṛṣṇa do? Let me just explore the temple. What do they mix in the prasad? It's very tasty. I just want to know how they, right? It may not be a very great. Someone's phone is here. Echo. Can you hear me properly? Okay. So inquisitiveness, even it could be material, but jnanis are those who are searching for knowledge about absolute.
What is the verse number? Remember.
716.
Thank you.
7.16. So now, a quick question. Mother Yashoda was in which category?
Above all.
Very nice. You're reading very sincerely. These are called Mishra Bhaktas. They are not pure devotees. Those who approach God for some reason are not pure in their devotion. It's better than not approaching, but it's not the highest. Those who are highest, they are Anya Bilashita Shunyam. They are free from any other desires. Wealth, name, fame, recognition, property, poverty, all these are to material desires. But again, as Mataji said, she was above all. And that was her great fortune. And that's the question which the king, Parikshit Maharaj, is asking the Brahmana here, Shukdev Goswami. What was that Yashoda cha Mahabhaga? What was that great fortune? How Yashoda, that great Maha means great, Bhaga is fortunate, Bhagyavan, Brahmanda, Brahmite Kona, Bhagyavan, Jiva. So it's a very, very nice verse to glorify Mata Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Papau Yasya Stanam Hari, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, drank milk from her breast. That's the great fortune. The Supreme Lord became her child. So the Supreme Lord does not become child of an ordinary woman, an ordinary father. Those, they are Nitya Siddhas. They are eternally, eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. And certainly they have a lot of love and devotion. That's the great fortune which Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji, please.
what are the examples for Jnani and Jigyasu in historical? Is there any history of?
Yes, it's a great question. Who will like to answer that?
Jnani may be Shukadev Goswami.
Yani Shukdev Goswami. That's quite fitting.
Jigyasu, then Parikshit Maharaj?
Jnani Shukdev Goswami and 4 Kumaras, the Jigyasus, the reference is given in the sages of Naimisharanya who are hearing. Of course, later they became also pure devotees, but earlier they were busy doing a lot of yagyas and this and that. And it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, only the smoke turned, their faces black, nothing else happened. So Jigyasus of the sages of Naimisharanya, and maybe we can write that here. Jnani, actually Jnani is the fourth category we have put here. So Shukra, Dev, Goswami, and for Kumaras, they were in the Jnani category, but later then when they smelled the tulasi from the feet of Lord Vishnu, they became also wonderful devotees. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Shilpa, Mataji, I want to say something.
Prabhuji, I was just thinking maybe all the rishis who meditated upon, who gave the Vedas and the Bhagavatam, right? To start with Veda Vyasa Maharshi, he might. I'm thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it falls under Gnani category, and I don't know who would under Jignashu, but I was just thinking.
Yeah, sometimes there could be overlap also. It's sometimes, a person could be wanting wealth also, and at the same time he's troubled by his wife also, right? And say, God, help me out, right? So there could be mix also. But these examples, I'm sharing what I've heard from Senior Vaishnava. There could be multiple other examples in these categories, as you rightly mentioned. It's not that they are the only people. But again, Krishna's pure devotees like, Hanuman, Arjuna, Mata Yashoda, Kunti, etc., Draupadi, they are not, they're above all these categories. These are called Mishra Bhaktas. But in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada, this does mention that if they continue bhakti sincerely in the guidance, all these became pure devotees later. Because they took shelter of Krishna and they took shelter of a spiritual master. They all became pure devotees later. Of course, Shukdev Goswami, this is like prior to him, like prior to him hearing from Vyasadeva. When he was born, he was just running out and, I don't want to be entangled in the Maya. And then later Vyasadeva sent his two disciples in the form of two woodcutters. And then later he became a Paramhamsa who was speaking Bhagavatam. So he's not just a Mishra Bhakta. Later he became a completely perfect soul. And that's why everyone unanimously agreed to elect him to be the right speaker of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
I was just curious, who under which category would Mother Devaki and
they're also above all. They're above those categories. Yes, these are Mishra Bhaktas. They are neophyte devotees who are Mishra means mixed. Their devotion is not 100% pure, but. And that applies to practically all of us here, at least to myself. It's not 100% pure. The demigods also fall in this category because they have a certain agenda. But that's better than not doing anything. So, but we should have the goal high. That our goal is Anya Bilashita Shuni. Free from all the material desires, devotion free from any tinge of desires or hidden motives. And Dhruva also said that I was looking for broken pieces of glasses when he wanted a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather Brahma. When the Lord met him and showed him the darshan, he said, I don't want anything now. Now Prahlad won't be in this category. Prahlad was like a pure devotee since birth. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Any more additions here? comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Then Prabhuji, Sukadeva Goswami also heard when he was in the womb also, right, Prabhuji? So, but he heard from authentic resources and sources, right, Prabhuji? And I also heard that even before Sukadeva Goswami, he was a parrot, and Lord Shiva was explaining Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati, and Mother Parvati, was asleep, and the parrot was responding. And when Lord Shiva started chasing, the parrot went in. When Vyasdev's wife was yarning, it went inside, and for 16 years, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, there's a story.
So, but
Yes.
then how should we understand that Sukadeva Goswami initially was kind of a not a pure devotee?
These are great souls, and they do certain pastimes to, like no ordinary soul stays in the womb for like 16 years. So these examples are quoted by senior Vaishnavas. And also we understand that as soon as he went out, as soon as he came out of the womb of the mother, he immediately was searching for the absolute truth. Like there are multiple, devotees in our ISKCON society also. Those who started their journey in life, there are many examples actually. Because Visheshika Prabhu, he shared his story that how he was, looking for something about God, and then later his friend gave him this novel. This Back to Godhead magazine, and that's what he was looking for. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he also, this beautifully written book, The Journey Home and the Journey Within, how he started his journey without any resources, without money, without, like so many dangerous situations, in search of the absolute truth. So Shukdev Goswami was searching for, as soon as he was born, he didn't stay with the parents. He just went to the jungle, to the forest, to enhance and find the real stuff, although it was there at his home, Vyasadeva. But so this is the pastime, and then later he did take full shelter of Vyasadeva, and then later he became the speaker of Bhagavatam. So later that same Jnani devotee can certainly become a pure devotee, like Dhruva also was looking, like Gajendra, they were also looking for certain, they were distress or wealth. But now we don't say they are impure devotees or they are Mishra Bhaktas, they are pure devotees. But in the journey, we can take some lessons from their life. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So we can also think that it's a Leela of the Lord to teach us. Right, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. Let's read the next verse. Text 47. Anyone who did not get chance yesterday wants to read?
I can read, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees, and pranam, our Guru Srila Prabhupada. Pitrau nanvavidetam Krishno dharabi ke hitam gayante adyapi kavayo yalloka samalapaham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although Krishna was pleased with Vasudeva and Devaki that he descended as their son, they could not enjoy Krishna's magnanimous childhood pastimes, which are so great that simply chanting about them vanquishes the contamination of the material world. Narada Muni and Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, however, enjoyed these pastimes fully, and therefore their position was always better than that of Vasudeva and Devaki. Purport. Krishna actually took birth from the womb of Devaki, but just after his birth, he was transferred to the home of Yashoda. Devaki was not even have Krishna suck her breast. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was astonished. How had Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj become so fortunate that they enjoyed the complete childhood pastimes of Krishna, which are still glorified by saintly persons? What had they in the past by which they were elevated to such an exalted position? Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So wonderful translation and purport here. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that even though Devaki Mata and Vasudeva were the real parents, but of course, transcendentally, because they had done, they wanted Lord Vishnu, I think, 3 times. So I think this was the 3rd time the great couple were giving birth to Lord himself. But actually a few days ago, I was reading this wing Prabhuji, why I don't recall, I did not fully read, but why Yashoda wanted, also had this desire, and Krishna fulfilled. Maybe you can explain in detail, Prabhuji. So here we can see that Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were so fortunate that Lord Krishna himself took birth, all the childhood pastimes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Please add Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. A lot of lessons in this small verse. Number 1, the difference between the Lord and the ordinary Jiva. Krishna was pleased with Vasudeva and Devaki, so he descended as their son. Now, how many of us can say, I was very pleased with my parents, so I chose to come as their son? Anyone here? Or their daughter? I was very, very pleased, so I chose to be born in this family, in this country, in this community, in this particular group of society, and this parents at this address. No one chooses that. The Supreme Lord chooses. He chooses to descend. Avatari, he's the Supreme Lord. The Lord chooses. We are product of our karma. As we sow, the soul gets the next destination according to the karma and the desires performed in the desires of the subtle body and the karma performed in the previous bodies, previous lifetimes. That's point number 1. Then the other point, the glories of Krishna Katha, especially the childhood pastimes. It's so nicely mentioned here. Gayanti adyapi kavayo yan lokash shamala apaham. All the mala, all the impurities, hearing of which means what? The arbhaka ihitam, the childhood pastimes which Krishna performed, hearing those or glorifying those, chanting those, hearing those, of which the contamination of the whole material is vanquished. So Krishna Katha, especially the childhood pastimes of the Supreme Lord, are the real medicine for the Kali Yuga. So what happens? Simply by chanting these pastimes, we can vanquish the contamination of the material world. And what is that? Lust, anger, greed, envy, fault finding, all this bad propensity, all this contamination, samsara mala. We go outside, we get full of the dirt. In Bengali, mall, like shopping mall. How do we say? Mall ja rahe, mall. वहाँ जाके मल ही मिलता है. We get contaminated, right? It's because Amrinda Prabhu was mentioning mall ja rahe, mall. Right? Is that true? Are you able to get the humor? In that, this shopping, that shopping, so many malls, so many, they say that, as if they are the best well-wishers, get this discount, that discount, but it's all just material contamination. In the office, in outside any place except for Krishna conscious environment like temple or devotees home, or where devotees are there, that except for that place, everywhere we just are surcharged with mala, dirt. Mala also is called basically stool, right? So the real contamination, the real solace is chanting the holy names, chanting the childhood pastimes. His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj was recently in Alachua, and he mentioned a very nice point. He said that in our Krishna consciousness moment, we do not talk enough about Krishna. Sometimes. It was a very striking statement, which I like. We should develop nectar. We should develop more and more taste to hearing Krishna Katha. So much of nectar is there. So much of nectar is there. All we need is the ears to constantly hear Shravanam, Kirtanam, and glorify also by chanting, as mentioned here, Gayanti, to glorify, to sing, like Mata Yashoda used to sing. So we should also used to hear, sing, chant, repeat, share. This is very, very pleasing to Krishna, and this helps to clear all the dirt. And Parikshit Maharaj is meditating upon the good fortune that even Devaki did not get chance to feed milk, but Yashoda was more fortunate. Certainly, Yashoda's in the Vatsalya Rasa, number one is Yashoda. Number one. Of course, number three is also very, very high compared to tiny jivas like us, but still, so Yashoda's number is topmost. Any more thoughts before we move to the next verse?
Prabhu, Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Yeah, Prem Sankirtan Prabhu.
I just wanted to share a few things actually. So in the first canto of Bhagavatam, in 5th chapter, where Narad Muni was giving the instruction to Srila Vyasdev, he was saying that how he got that mercy. He was saying that the 4 months, the Bhakti Vedantas, they were actually talking about Krishna. Actually, in the verse, it says, Tatra onu aham Krishna katha pragayatam. Means they were talking about Krishna. And so he was saying that's how he developed gradually ruchi. And then he said, when they were living, they gave him the Gujyatama Gyan. And then Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, stating that there's a Gujyatara and Gujyatam. And Prabhupada was saying that Gujya is that Brahma Jyoti. And then Gujyatara is the Paramatma. And Gujyatarma is the Krishna, the personal form of the Krishna. And Narad Muni was saying that by just listening to their glorification of Krishna, he understood that how he was purified. He was saying that he understood that beyond this gross and the subtle body, there is something, and that is he was saying that in Hindi, in Sanskrit, he said prapanchatit, means without not contaminated by this material world. So I thought like just to share with that in this context.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice. Even Shukdev Goswami himself, he heard about the 2 verses from the Vyasadeva disciple, and then he became attached to hearing more, and then he came back. So therefore we must take great pleasure in hearing Tushyanti cha ramanti cha, and great joy in hearing and reading these wonderful pastimes. So we have a few more verses which we will do tomorrow, but tomorrow is also Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi, which comes once a year. And for those who can, if your health allows, and if your circumstances allow, it's good to do fasting without water. That means sunrise to sunrise. That means before sunrise, if you want, you can take some water. Tomorrow, sunrise. That means before like 6:30, I think, sunrise around 6:30-ish. So, or 6:30, and then next day, 6:30. And of course, it's a very, very holy day. So we should do more reading, hearing, chanting, glorifying Krishna's name, form, characters, as much as possible, individually, collectively, family, friends, devotees, as much as possible. So just thought to share that as well. Anyone has any thoughts, comments, questions, corrections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, you said first is Yashoda Mata and third is... so, who is second, Prabhuji? If I missed that part.
There's a whole list, which I don't recall at this moment. The second, of course, is Nanda Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole list of 8.
Okay.
8 in Vatsalya Rasa. Number 8 is Kunti Maharani. I was hearing this class by Swarnis Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. Number 8 is Kunti Maharani, so he brought those points. So I don't recall all the names, but I can try to get. Of course, Devaki and then Vasudev are also the top 5. So number 8 is Vasudev, and number 8 is Kunti Maharani. I'll try to get Rohini, of course, is also there, Mata Rohini. Okay,
Thank you,
any other? Hare Krishna. So anyone has any special plans for tomorrow? For that, I want to acknowledge the presence of Gupta Prabhu. Maybe you can, Gupta Prabhu, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my own obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Joining from Trinidad?
Yeah, I'm from Trinidad. I'm very fortunate to be in the presence of such great Vaishnavas. I was introduced to your classes by my sister-in-law, Priya, and me and my wife, we were planning to be part of the association. We just seek your blessings and the blessings of all the other Vaishnavas that we can be able to contribute by hearing and learning more about Krishna. I mean, for us, it is by Srila Prabhupada's mercy that we found a path back home, back to God through this Vaishnava culture, and we're forever grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this, and of course for all his disciples for inspiring other Vaishnavas to preach wonderfully the message of Krishna. So I just want to say thank you very much for doing such wonderful service.
Thank you to you and your good wife for your association, and to Priya Mataji and Ravi Prabhu as well for helping to connect. So we are very, very blessed and to have you and Mataji in our little reading group. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So yesterday we wanted to cover one more topic which we couldn't because of the time. It's a discussion about Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Would someone like to elaborate a little bit on that? Who wants to elaborate? Brahman, the three realizations of the absolute truth, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdyate. Would anyone like to say one or two points which comes to your mind to share that? All of you are able to hear me and understand the question,
Yes.
please?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I will try. I'm not... Prabhuji, I have heard, one Prabhuji give a very good example, but it was in Telugu, but I will try to... So we generally go to Tirupati whenever we go to India. So Prabhuji, he gave a couple of examples. The first one is, the planet sun, the rays, the planet sun, and the Surya Narayan. And so that is Brahmeti is the rays, Bhagavaneti is the, Brahmeti, Bhagavaneti. What is the third one you said, Prabhuji?
Paramatma.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. So the other example, what 7 hills, and there's the Tirupati is divided like Tirumala in the top, and the actual God inside the temple. So these are the 2 examples gave. That Prabhuji I understood in that way, Prabhuji. Please correct, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice analogies. Yes, Vaswati Mataji, want to say something?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. I'm repeating what I heard from senior Vaishnavas. So, A.G. Prangovinda Prabhuji, in his one of his lecture, he gave an example of 3 boys, and one train was coming, and one boy was standing and just and explained how the train looks. This first time, the 3 boys are looking at the train. So one boy said only light and sound, and that is actually the Brahman. And then second boy says it's the train has light, sounds, and some form, and that is Paramatma. And the third boy says, no, the train has light, sound, the whole, and it has a different bogies, and it has more than that, windows, and it has a big form. So that is Bhagavan. So Brahman is Krishna's effulgence, which has no form. Paramatma, Krishna has form with his potency, and Bhagavan is everything, like his whole potency, and Bhagavan is actually the complete knowledge, the absolute. That is Bhagavan. So.
Thank you. Yes, that train example is also very often quoted, the sun example. I have this document or this which I prepared long back, and I've shared multiple times, but I'll share again for our benefit. So it starts with the Paramatma, like level 1, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the Brahman realization is the impersonal effulgence, like the sun rays. The sun rays cannot exist without the sun, right? The Shakti cannot exist without the Shaktiman. Shaktiman is Krishna, that sun god. In this sun analogy is also there, sun god or sun globe. And the sun globe is the person, sun god sitting, who is running the show there. And sun rays come out of him. So the localized feature, we say andantarastha cha paramanu chayantarastam. That's a Paramatma aspect. Satchit, the Sat means eternity, Chit means knowledge. So the Sat and Chit feature are present in the Paramatma realization. But Ananda is not there. Ananda is the real bliss. Like we hear these wonderful pastimes, it's full of Ananda. Because one can establish a relationship with the two-handed personal form of God. Even when Arjuna saw the universal form, he said, no, I don't want to see this form. I want to see the two-handed form. And then Lord Krishna showed him the two-handed form, because it's easy to establish the relationship with the two-handed form. If we say, hey, meditate upon something, what do I meditate upon? It's so hard. But if you say, okay, meditate upon the beautiful golden face of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, his curly locks of hairs, his pankaja, his lotus-like eyes, it's easy, right? When we have some people say God is everywhere, right? Yes, he's everywhere. But they don't agree that God is in the deity also. The point is, for a pure devotee, all these three levels are same. Like the Bhagavan aspect includes the Paramatma and the Brahman aspect. So we're not saying, we don't deny the fact that Paramatma form is there, or the Paramatma realization, but it's incomplete. Like the Mataji gave the example of the train, that some boy said it has light and sound. Yeah, that's correct, but that's not the full picture. So yes, God is in everyone's heart. That's absolutely correct. Yes, God is in every atom. Yes, that's absolutely correct. But he also is present always in the spiritual world doing his Nitya Leela. And through his multifarious energies, he is present everywhere also in the as the Paramatma feature, therefore the Supreme Lord. Because if we say something, God is something he is not, that means he's not God, right? He has something missing, that means he's not God. God is full and complete. Therefore, some of the words or adjectives used to address, we don't say God as light, some inconceivable. The people who in Brahman realization, they say like that. God is inconceivable. We cannot, understand this and that. There's speculation, supreme light, something mystical. We don't address that. That's correct. Then the next level, oh, he's omniscient, omnipotent, he's this cause of all causes, all these words. But who is that? You're talking about his qualities, yes, but who is that? Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham, Govinda, Madhava, Keshava, Madhusudana, Ishvara Nandana, Nandanandana, Devaki Nandana, Brajajana Ranjana, Rama. All these are the personal form of God, the personal Bhagavan. The devotees call with these names. Now, let's say, if I call Lakshay, hey, living entity, come here. Is that right or wrong? It's right or wrong?
Both.
Very much right.
Right.
Both.
It's
Very
right,
much
but
right.
it's a very bad and like kind of, well, you like it, Lakshay, if I call you a living entity, right? No one will like it, right? That's correct. I mean, he's a living entity, right? He's a living person. That's, in one way it is correct, but it's not the best way of calling him. Then someone one level up, oh, young boy, please come here. That's also correct, right? But it's still not very personal, right? So you see the Brahman level, the Paramatma level, but then if I call, oh, dear Lakshay Prabhu, the son of Babu Prabhu, who loves to paint, and who's very, very technologically savvy, who loves to attend Bhagavatam class. Can you please come? How personal is that, right? So devotees address Krishna with their personal, not mystical, not, he's everywhere, which are all correct, but not the complete picture is conveyed in those names. So we discussed the sun god analogy as well. So with the Brahman, we cannot establish a relationship. Paramatma also very, very hard to establish that relationship. Ultimately, these people also may become Bhagavan realized eventually. So the Jnana yogis worship Brahman realization, Dhyana yogis worship the Paramatma, and Bhakti yogas, the Prema Bhaktas, they worship Krishna as the Bhagavan, the two-handed form. Knowing they're not denying these, right? It's like all-inclusive. So as we go from right to left, it's like all-inclusive. Of course, their destination is back home, back to Godhead, the spiritual world. Brahman, who, the famous verse, as we approach, he will reciprocate accordingly. If we approach him like Brahman, we'll get there. If we approach Krishna as Bhagavan, we'll get there. Process, Bhakti Yoga, simple and easy. Other processes are very, very hard and not recommended, and does not lead to the highest destination either. So these are some differences between the Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, which we could not cover yesterday. Any questions on this? Is it too much philosophy?
But 95% Indians believe they take the other way around. So when I was talking with some of my colleagues, they said that so Brahman, Bhagavan, Paramatma, like Brahman is a supreme to them, and the form is whoever way people wants. That's more prominent.
It's the sad part. No, it's the sad part. If you ask anyone, can you tell me about God? No one will say, I don't know. No one will say, well, I have not taken shelter of a bona fide guru, so I don't. Everyone will comment something, right? So we have to hear, not any Tom, Dick, Harry, but only the son of Lord Hari, like Srila Prabhupada, who has given this philosophy in a very clear way for all of our benefit. So we'll pause here and continue tomorrow with the wonderful holy day in this part of Nirjala Ekadashi.
Prabhu, you were saying something about Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to view Swami, Lord Krishna in four-handed form, right? That's what you said, and that is the Bhagavan
form. Yeah, the personal form. The first, when Arjuna was shown the universal form in chapter 11, it was very, very ghastly, very, very, but certain people, materialistic people, they want to see God. If God means something, it should be special, it should be unconceivable. If I have two hands, like to Vipul Prabhu's question, why they don't believe in that form? If I have two hands and God has two hands, what's the big deal between me and God? God should be something extraordinary, something mystical, something inconceivable, right? For them, okay. Virat Rupa. But for devotees, he said, no, I want to see the two-handed form. The two-handed form of Krishna. And then later Krishna showed him that. And Prabhupada mentioned actually in the purport of chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita that Krishna did not show the universal form for Arjuna. Krishna did not show universal form for Arjuna because universal form is for those who don't believe in the personal aspect of God. Those who believe in the two-handed, like God must be something unimaginable. Okay, then you see the universal form, right? How ferocious, ghastly, and all the sun and the moon, all the demigods, everything is all inclusive, all the avatars, and all these, these the warriors entering the mouth of the universal form. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So that form is temporary and it is only confined to the material world, right, Prabhuji? The universal form?
Yes. Because in spiritual world, everyone is devotee.
Yeah. They are like a two-handed form, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, they are happy there with the two-handed form or the personal aspect of God. It's more relatable, like easy to establish relationship.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll pause here. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaura Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.